him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Hi, my name is Buba Gajigo and you're watching Kerr Fatou. This is your educational program, and now we're gonna bring you lessons from senior school. If you have your kid attending senior school, get them prepared, and I hope you enjoy these lessons.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
COVID-19 achani hay goto bawo. Coronavirus ko nyawmo anduda ko kanko watta ko wawi wasitayi a heɓu durmaji te non kadi jippo ka jopema. COVID-19 ko nyawmo anduda ɓoyani ɓe anduɓe fi nyaw ndaarimo ɓe wi ko coronavirus jonnirtamo. Fi enen fof wawen haɓade oɗo nyaw ko matum wallodiren jogodiren fi wawen haɓade oɗo nyaw ɓuraɗo andirede COVID-19. Te non oɗo COVID-19 anda siko a debbo ma ka gorko, o anda ko honto iwruɗa, o anda ko couleur honɗum jogiɗa. Awa woten innu ndeɗo nawnare ko mojobere wotere ndeɗo nawnare nangata. Si tawi en ƴetti nawnare nden en fawinde e mojobere wotere, no wawi wasi tawi ɓuura tum ɓeydude nawnare nden nde ɓuura hewude. Si tawi kadi en ƴetti nawnare nden en wi ɓe anduɗa hiɓe iwri e leyɗele ɗe anduɗa no jogui nde ɗo nawnare, en fuɗɗike ɓe fawde nawnare nden wa'ay wasi tawi ɓe suuɗa e nawnare maɓɓe nden. Te non ɗum ɗon addana en bone ko leydi. Te fof wawoya e heɓude nde ɗo nawnare. Fi wawen haɓade nde ɗo nawnare. ɓen ɓe anduɗa hiɓe iwri ka dulaji ɗe anduɗa no jogui o ɗo nyaw, maɗum yahunoɓe toon fi janngugol maɗum golla, ɓeɗo fof no foti darade moƴƴa fi wawen haɓade nde ɗo nawnare ko leydi ɗo COVID-19. Enen fof daroɗen fi haɓoɗen ɗi kibaruji ɗi wona gonga ɗiɓe wone jonnirde fi nde ɗo nawnare, ɗiɓe wone fawde ɓe anduɗa hiɓe iwri e leyɗele goɗɗe. Wakkiloɗen moƴƴa fi wallitoɗen ɓen ɓe anduɗa heɓe sohli wallitade fi wawen ɓe wallitade haɓoɗen oɗo nyaw. Yewtiɗen e himɓe fi ɓe loota juuɗe maɓɓe moƴƴa wattu kala, te non kadi hara ɓe memani yeeso maɓɓe ko wawi wa hunduko maɓɓe maɗum gite maɓɓe e kine maɓɓe. Si tawi hiɗa ɗojjude andu no ɗojjira haraɗo jani ha lorda himɓe ɓen. Wota naatu e jama hewuɗo fi wawa dandude hoorema oɗo nyaw. Woɗɗi to himɓe ɓen wonu ka galle si tawi a sellani. sa nani be inni Gambia smiling coast ko fi honɗum waɗi ɗum himɓe hoɗuɓe ko Gambia ɗo ko himɓe moƴƴuɓe hollire moƴƴere men nden haɓoɗen nde nawnare wi'etende covid-19 gaño men mo annduɗa ko gaño fow haɓoɗen mo ha o iwa ɗo si ta hiɗa faala hen ko laaɓi maɗum hiɗa yiwde caɗele e sengo cellal mangal ko wowla ɗo kon hiɗa wawi noddude 1025. COVID-19 accani hay goto ɓawo coronavirus
Ikole ngambulo luku with whatever we do. Jioni safu no la with whatever we do. Hale yide munyu skula nyepamne ne kudlukula nyepangira galagena nyepamne ne kudlukula ibuloke nungoto ni beti sola ibuloke dato ni betoto
Bege gongo
Lamin
na
Lamin te jibe norin te nyame Lamin
kabana wulo
kono nyinta mo Lamin
pabilenki
muna ngata afamole
haina
ngata ngoto le fabrama
mingi baba nyole
ngoto le fabrama
Namu jumala kan kuma ni ten.
fabrama
Jumala mu.
ndele bare muso
Lunda mana.
mo kata
Jamani mbere.
alindo ko
Jamani.
bari ngoto man kontande
Bari jamani fana na ramu duma kontan.
ngoto minaka ngalamin je fom filitala Lamin jibe nori nyala
Lamin ila sira sama ne benki. Yala so tol sayni no ko mo lokku momo.
ngoto
Nam.
iterinte yalo ne Lamin hakkilo diata bake karambugoto anu santen ministry ko di ngole si suwo ko amanke ko be holiday
Si bitun.
bagona de
ala ni ko kede namo balo
ala ni na ko ina karta bulo be dam ala ni je.
ngoto
Nam.
ngoto mon kontan feren
Jamani mu ne keda.
ite ka Lamin ki wulo ko no nyinta mon ko do fete malo Lamin nyanta sila la be la moy kala karango
Jamani karamol be sorande ne ko fasita wulo ko nako.
karambugol ma soron ni ko karambugol soron da amanke comme holiday lem ngoto dini ngo nyanta sila la ala karango la moy yamen kamen fue man kontan andamande
alla nyin kombo courant adanda la kombo len do la jankara mol soron dal doron kamen courant ma ra la kombo e ko ndol fana na kara mol soron je kara mol soron Lamin ada lo nyino la amanta ra fena sokon ala mu nekela
Lamin ite foyde malon ko lesinol be ke kar radio to
nga fine
e ko nyina di mo Lamin ya mu na fonye
bi kabin mina kan ntambita nteri maning Fatou ntambite la sukol ala diningol bebe siri be la moyka
Fatou danso am fana tambira jele ni subala la ngaje diningol be jet talanta nen kili warol e be seri jelet
sa Lamin farante ku kilingo ke no la ba Lamin bitaka wulo ko no nyinta mo Lamin
amanta ra fenela
ite dine ko ni man si yakari lesinol la moy radio to e balon na
mu nekka ke afonde ma nyara ni alon
telentel jikot
afonde ma mu be ke
ite balon tel be cikritel ni man karambe ku kele yaje nata karana mbasa malaya ay tarije
par ñarande kombo courant ho findira kombo ide na rajete ni sonka bay ko Lamin ma nyata la wulo ko karam mo be so da fa ñembe be
ko to wole nati ba ngalde ni Lamin kuntala kombo courant o ka fa me kombo courant asototal wala kinay ko e si suwo kono bari ni ko e si suwo kono ibe karangol dike la radio lin telel to hani tele masoto to nyaay man tele soto da bungo bar radio be bulen koto batiri sanga ay si ay alamo
sa do kala nyaadi
ko ta o bulaji
abe o kala nyaadi
kamun ke nyaadi
radio abe wala moy la ibe mona falaje
ibe la karandirol kala jele
ti talle be radio ko men ka karandirol
ila subjectoro baby jele ibe jele
wala nan ka coco moy fa dan so wolya ngombe tambi ka nga dinni ngol je be ikadum bungo ko ka da mala mo
asototal de
Lamin mala be kara wala de
bari
laftalal ideal on ko inde every year second wala fourth
muna ni ko nde ko folle sinila mba nde le sinilo ne ba
mba foke en koto wole fango yen wulindi yalo famo keta bat ñu fanam bulata ko me yen nati jambi Lamin nyanta karana ndel be jiko be nyine ka ya bulay kara wulo kono ta kilar ya bambalo yo be bulaje koto dinni ngoy si ayala le sino la moy radio
wara ka munda kara mo man soro Lamin nyanta kara si so na radio
la sila le ayala le sino
ndal ko korna ko smolon
kilar ya
be ngala ko momo
Say me do nim kono kera.
Thank you, Bruce.
Never kono la la ba rosa no radio no bari woro radio ni. Abe jele ko ngamra do man dembe buljan. Dala nyara nyar wo fram ko fendi mo la. Tan tayra ba rosa.
Bara te ku folo ajibe nori nya labi tamete ku.
Mingi mun na re.
Teku.
Bari ko do famo ke.
Imagine nani nyambol. Si zol le keje kisiki man si zol. No le kafun nyoma bari nyambu kilo ni manya na kafindi. Ni nambe korosor la jang. Ni nambe korosor la jang.
Ngale limbeta de be nyambo do dilanna.
Nyara nim ko rin fennat. Nyara nata.
Koto. Bari famo ke da.
Ngata bungono, tambi bungono. Nyara ngando ko fele. Ko ke baru nganda ni pelo la ndija.
Iyo awe better la
bungono bismillah. Bisu diara.
Ye fungo tanka sina dolu tanka korota korota.
Good day, viewers and listeners. I'm Master Jesse who has come to continue with our English language lessons. So today we are going to start looking at types of dependent clauses. Types of dependent clauses. Now, you see, so last class we talked about clauses. We talked about clauses, and then today we are going to look at types of dependent clauses. But before we start looking at types of dependent clauses, you are given an exercise which has to be reviewed now before we look at our subject matter today, which is dependent clause. Now we said you are asked to write I against all independent clauses and then D against dependent clauses. Now we are given 1 to 10. So let's go through and then do our corrections now. I know you are all set. Good. So let's look at number 1. The instruction reads, write I for all independent clauses and D for dependent clauses in the following work. Example 1, number 1, it says, when you were in school. When you were in school. By looking at that structure, does it make sense on its own when you are in school? If you just say to someone when you were in school, does it make sense? Good. So it means it can stand on its own. So it is a dependent clause. So I hope you must have written D against number 1. Number 2, the man is hardworking. The man is hardworking. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. It means it is able to express something meaningful. So it doesn't require you to add anything there. So it can stand on its own, yet it has expressed something meaningful. So number 2, the correct answer is independent clause. So you are expected to write I against it. So the man is hardworking is an independent clause. So you should write I against number 2. Number 3, who scored the first goal? Who scored the first goal? By looking at that example, is it an independent clause? Can that expression stand on its own? Or it requires something to be added in order for it to express something meaningful? Yes, it does. So it means it is not an independent clause, but a dependent clause. So you have to write I against, you have to write D against number 3, because who scored the goal could have been the man who scored the first goal, like that. So therefore, since who scored the first goal can stand on its own, you write D against it, means it is a dependent clause. Then we move on to number 4, which is glittering. We are looking at which is glittering. There too, it cannot make sense if you can say the gold, the ring, the bangle or whatever, which is glittering, like that. But once you just say which is glittering, it means it can stand on its own and express something meaningful. So it is also a dependent clause. So it depends on something else in order for it to express anything meaningful. So it is a dependent clause. So your right answer should be D against it. So you are expected to write D against number 4. Number 5, he is happy. It may appear short, but it expresses something meaningful. So he is short expresses complete thought. So therefore, it is an independent clause. So the correct answer there should be I against number 5. Number 6, that he will be late. That he will be late. When you look at that, it doesn't express something meaningful. So it means it can't stand on its own. So therefore, that he will be late is a dependent clause. So it can't stand on its own. So you are expected to write D against number 6. Number 7, because it's very dark. Because it's very dark. That is also an expression we can't stand on its own until you add something else. If you just say because it's very dark, it doesn't make sense. You get the point. On its own, you get the point. So you must add something else. It means it's not independent since it can't operate on its own. So it is a dependent clause. So you are expected to write D against number 7. Number 8, since they are playing. By looking at that example 2, since they are playing is also dependent because it can't stand on its own. So it means you have to write something else for it to be helped to express something meaningful. So it is also a dependent clause. So it can't stand on its own. Number 9, it has barked at us. That too is an independent clause because it has a subject and a predicate, and then it has expressed something meaningful. So it can stand on its own without being supported by any other expression. So number 9 is an independent clause, and you are expected to write I against it. Number 10, which is the last one, goes this way. Although they were prepared, that also doesn't express something meaningful on its own. It means it can't stand on its own. So we can't call that an independent clause. For it to express anything meaningful, it means it has to be supported by another expression. So therefore, it is also a dependent clause, and then you are expected to write D against it. Good. So that is for the exercise that you are expected to do in the course of the last lesson, but due to time, you couldn't, and then you are able to finish it at home, and we've just reviewed it and then did corrections on it. So today, we are going to look at types of dependent clauses. Now, those of you who are following, already we talked about 2 types of clauses. We talked about independent clause and dependent clause. Now, today we are coming to look at types of dependent clauses. Now, we did say that all independent clauses stand on their own, while dependent clauses must be supported by other expressions in order to express something meaningful. So now, we are coming to look at types of dependent clauses. Here we have noun clause, 2 adjectival clauses, and then adverbial clauses. So it means noun clauses, adjectival clauses, and adverbial clauses are all dependent clauses. It means if we use them alone, they won't be able to express something meaningful. So they only have to be supported by other expressions for them to express something meaningful. Let's start by looking at noun. A noun clause is always a dependent clause used as a noun. The following words can be used to start a noun clause: how, if, that, what, whatever, when, whenever, where, whether, which, whichever, who, whom, whoever, whose, and why. Now, these are some words that could help introduce a noun clause. But take note, noun clauses may also be introduced by other words. We have articles like a, like the, like an. A noun clause may also be introduced by a noun or a pronoun. Take note of that. You may have a noun or a pronoun introducing a noun clause, and it's going to be correct. More than that, noun clauses are not only limited to these features that I've just read out, but you may place who or what before or after a verb and make a correction. Once the underlined words serve as answer, you know it is a noun clause. Noun clauses and phrases always answer the question who or what. As we go through the examples, you'll get to know what I'm trying to drive at. Let's look at noun clause and its functions. Now it says a noun clause has several functions as given below. Now functions of a noun clause. Now let's look at functions of a noun clause. Now, one major function of a noun clauses have different functions, but the key one is subject of a verb. Subject of a verb. Take note, subject of a verb. Good. When a noun clause is immediately followed by a verb, it functions as the subject of that verb. Take note, in simple language, when a noun clause is underlined before a verb, it is subject of that verb. Simple. When a noun clause is underlined before a verb, it is subject of that verb. Now let's look at some examples that we have. Now example 1, we said what coronavirus does scares everyone. Now let's look at this example. We said what coronavirus does scares everyone. Now what coronavirus does is underlined. Now while looking at this, why is this a noun clause? Because we've seen the underlined words acting as subject. Functionally, it is playing role of a subject, and that qualifies it to be called a noun clause. Why is this a noun clause? We did say that a clause must have a finite verb, and that finite verb must be among the underlined words. By looking at this from this point to this point, what coronavirus does, the word does is finite verb, because if you change the subject from singular to plural, the does will change to do. And if you change the tense of the verb, the does will also change to did. So it means does can change from does to do or did, depending on the subject and time. So that makes it a finite verb. So because we have does here, then we call this a clause. And since the underlined word is acting as a subject, we call it a noun clause. Now, apart from that, what other strategy can we employ to convince anybody that this underlined word is a noun clause and it is subject of the verb? Here, we say what coronavirus does scares everyone. The last word here is, the first word after the underlined word is scarce. And what we do here is that if you put here what scares everyone, the answer is going to be what coronavirus does. What scares everyone, what coronavirus does. So this is a noun clause and it is subject of the verb scarce. So the grammatical term, GN, grammatical name, you say it is a noun clause. It is a noun clause, and GF, grammatical function, you say it is subject of the verb, and the verb is scarce. Scarce. Subject of the verb, scarce. That's the point. I hope you are following. Good. So we move on to example 2. We have how the boy behaved was very friendly. How the boy behaved was very friendly. Now we have our example. How the boy behaved was very friendly. Was very friendly is on the line. How the boy behaved was very friendly. Now, how the boy behaved is on the line, sorry. Now we have it this way. Now, how the boy behaved was very friendly. Now, if we put here, what was very friendly? What was very friendly? That's how the boy behaved. So this becomes a noun clause. Why is this a noun clause? Because we have a verb behaved which has taken past tense morpheme. And once we drop that, it becomes the boy behaves. It will take S inflection. So that in order to agree with the subject. So therefore, how the boy behaved is a noun clause and it is subject of the verb was. So you call it, it is a noun clause. It is a noun clause. And what is the grammatical function? We said to, it is subject of the verb, subject of the verb was. Of the verb was. So that's the point. So it means now how the boy behaved is a noun clause and it is underlined before the verb was, as you can see. You get what was friendly, how the boy behaved. Number 3, that Bottrop came first, surprised none of their competitors. If you place what before the word surprised, what surprised none of their competitors, the answer is going to be that Bottrop came first. So the came is the finite verb there. It can change from came to come or comes depending on the time and the number. You get the point in order to agree with the subject or time. So therefore, what surprised none of their competitors, the answer is going to be that Bottrop came first. So that becomes a noun clause. That's 3. It becomes a noun clause. That Bottrop came first. It is a noun clause. And then what is the grammatical function? Then we say it is subject. Subject of the verb. What is the verb there? Surprised. Subject of the verb surprised. So that's the point. So it means now, by looking at that example, that Bottrop came first is the noun clause there, and it is subject of the verb surprised. Good. We move on to number 4. Example 4, it says, whoever gets the answer correct goes home with a gift. If you put there who goes home with a gift, the answer is going to be whoever gets the answer correct. That is also by analyzing that, you see the word gets, which is a verb, can change to get the point, or got. So that is finite verb there that qualifies the underlying words to be called a clause. And functionally, since it is acting as a subject, we call it a noun clause. And then it is subject of the verb goes. It is a noun clause. It is a noun clause, and then grammatical function, it is subject. It is subject of the verb, goes. So subject of the verb goes. Good. Then number 5. Now 5 goes this way. Whichever way we take leads us to the partnership whole. If you put what before the verb leads, what leads us to the partnership whole? The answer is going to be whichever way we take. The take there can change to text, can change to took, depending on the subject and time. If you drop the we and make it third person singular, that is either she or he, the text will take an S inflection, it becomes text. And if you maintain the subject and change the time, then the text automatically changes to took. So it is a noun clause and it is subject of the verb leads. So it is a noun clause. It is a noun clause. Grammatical function, you say it is subject of the verb leads. Good. Now, more than this, we have other indicators of noun clauses, and I want us to go through some of them. If we say an example 6, we say tourist who visited us, compiled the names. Now, tourists who visited us is on a line. Now, by looking at this example, tourists who visited us compiled the names. If you put here who compiled the names, the answer is going to be tourists who visited us. What makes this clause? We have a verb which is visited. It has taken ed morpheme. Now you can drop that morpheme, past tense morpheme, and you say the tourist who visit. Then it means you've changed the time from past to present. If you change the subject instead of plural to singular, tourist, without the S inflection, then the visitor will change to visits. So there will be agreement between the subject and the verb. So since there is a verb, visitor, we can change its form from past to present or present to past, singular to plural or plural to singular or vice versa. That qualifies it to be called a clause, and functionally it is playing a role of a noun because it is acting as a subject. That we call it a noun clause. Here, not only are we looking at the positioning of the clause, but we may also look at the indicator, which is the head word. The first word here is tourist, which is a noun. That is also another sign to tell you that this is a noun. Whether it is a clause or phrase, it's another kettle of fish. But what you ought to do is you analyze to see whether there is a verb that can change its form. If there is, clause. If there isn't, then you call it a noun phrase. So since we have visited here, then this qualifies it to be called a noun clause, and it is subject of the verb compiled. Who compiled the names? Tourists who visited us. So grammatical name, you call it, it is a noun clause. It is a noun clause. Now GF grammatical function, you say it is subject. It is subject of the verb compiled. Good. Now we move on. We have another example 7. If I say anyone who scores the first goal will be rewarded by the authorities. Now, anyone who scores the first goal is underlined. Then here, by looking at this, let's look at the first word here. We did say that a noun phrase or noun clause may be introduced by nouns, pronouns, articles, and other words. And now by looking at anyone here, which is an indefinite pronoun, qualifies this to be called noun. Is it a phrase or clause? We may not know. What should we do? We have to analyze the underlined words and establish whether there's a verb or otherwise. Now by looking at this, we know scores is a verb. We can change its form. You see, scores can change its form from either singular or plural or vice versa. So therefore, anyone who scores the first goal, this scores can change to either score or scored. You get the point? So that qualifies this to be called a clause. And since it is a clause, what is the role here? But also, we can place who or what here. If we put here, who will be rewarded by the authorities? Question mark. Who will be rewarded by the authorities? The answer is going to be anyone who scores the first goal. So that becomes a noun clause, and it becomes subject of the verb phrase, will be rewarded. Take note, if you have only one verb, you call it verb. If you have two or more and acting as a unit, you call it verb phrase. So therefore, GN, grammatical name, you say it is a noun clause. And GF, grammatical function, now here, this is the set of verbs there. So we call it is subject. It is subject of the verb phrase. Verb phrase will be rewarded. Will be rewarded. Good. So in short, it means if you have a group of words and there's finite verb, you can only name it as noun, adjectival, adverb based on the role it plays. In fact, the best way to answer a question under this is to look at the role of that underlined word. Is it acting as a subject, object, subject complement, object complement, complement preposition or so, or is it acting as qualifier whereby it qualifies a noun or pronoun, or is it acting as a modifier where it modifies either a verb, adjective or another adverb? Once you are able to establish the role or functionality of the underlined word, it is enough to help you to name it. You can call it noun, you can call it adjectival, you can call it adverbial, only based on the grammatical role it plays. As I said earlier, one expression can be noun in one context, can be adjective in another context, or adverb in another context. So basically, this is for one function of noun clause. So today we just started looking at subjects. That is where noun clauses act as subjects of verbs. I mean, they are underlined before them, and you can always put who or what before the verb and make a question. Once the underlined words have as answer, then you call it a noun clause. Now that is for the examples. So we move on. So we have classwork, and if you can't finish it now, you'll have to complete it at home, and when you come next class, we'll continue with it. But let's look at it now. Classwork, the instruction reads, give the grammatical name and function of the following underlined expressions. Number one, where the man was buried surprised everyone. Two, what they are planning is very good. And then you do others, tourists who are in the house complain about their conditions. Four, strangers who walked to the market received some money. Five, that Peter will pass the exam surprised everyone. And six, who was to be decorated doubted everyone. So this is the class exercise that you ought to do now, and then go through it. Already we talked about subject. See the location and then see the grammatical function. Indicate the name and the function as well. You can start work now.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibaram.
I get it. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Korsa. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Ah,
mbare ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Ah, janno mi yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kono kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wala nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mane domorol din fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Ha e wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni na lafta nyelen kendol e binaji.
Yalo bu kanila ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
When me touch down, better broke down.
With Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
That's how she became mine and see that.
Yara nyilla domoro ka diate.
Boy, janno Sikes restaurant.
Sa na ko be ni na dimbal. Nimba domoro kala janno.
Domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kende ma bije. Luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni. Adi manda wala de. Teka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa e ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery iko fanan be kalele badde lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendin lon dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international o tewoda number 1
amanke ba do mo la jang damma
e sa do mo jang is atariya
wo mu kubandi
sa na ko sa futandin
oto sa na ko be mu CK's restaurant
dafa na janna mu yat ni manje dorom bijam
aban
CK's restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.